Welcome to I Love You So Much. My name is Reed Fish. I'm here with my good friend Tyler Levine.
Hi, everybody.
We're two divorced dads, getting better, hopefully.
Yeah, trying to.
I think we want to start with a little confessional. Is there anything that happened this last week that you're not so proud of?
Yes. Always. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I guess everything that happened this morning.
Let me pick one.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this because, I'm like, well, you want to pick something that kind of makes you seem like vulnerable, but not a total piece of shit.
Right.
It's that middle ground.
No. But then I decided that's not what we're doing here. Let's just talk. Right. Let's talk about it legitimately.
Yeah.
And so yesterday, this is the most fresh example I can think of. I had a conversation with someone very close to me, and they had some really harsh, critical words about this endeavor.
Oh.
I don't know why. It was a weird conversation. It got really... it doesn't matter. I got really upset. I held it in. I didn't want to get reactive, which is the thing that I'm working on. But I was really upset, and it stuck with me for the whole day. And this morning I woke up and I was like kind of depressed, and I was like, oh, I spiraled on this. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Another guy with a podcast. And then I kind of was driving here and I was like, man, what is this? What is this spiral thing that I do? And I initially I was justifying it with like, they said something mean to me. I'm reacting. I'm having a reaction. I'm feeling what I'm feeling. And then I realized on a deeper level, it's this like victim-y, butthurt, fragile male ego thing that comes up for me all the time. And I can't always recognize it, but when I'm in it, it feels like the end of the world. And I'm like, all it was someone having a differing opinion about what we're doing here in a way that I didn't appreciate. And being mean about it. And then I was like, and even one step further, it was from a female. And I think sometimes that can add an extra layer of that male fragile ego thing where I'm like, well, you don't get to say that to me. And it flares up. And I just wanted to cop to that. I think that that's something I really try to work on, this like really fragile male ego. And being a victim when you don't realize you're being a victim. Because it all comes down to that. Like I could have taken that and turned it into something constructive, but I stewed on it for a day.
Well, now it can be something constructive, right? Yeah.
I really need this pillow.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I was thinking about like a parenting one. Well, the backstory is, unfortunately at this point, I have to have another job. I don't just this isn't my full-time job, this podcast. And so I have this small media company that we produce content for real estate. And we have admin help, but on the weekends, it's my business partner and I have to do all the admin and stuff. And so on the weekend, and now, single dad, I have my daughter, and I'm getting like just successions of texts from realtors and stuff. And she wants my attention, and I end up being short with her so that I can focus on this task, which I don't even give a shit about. It's just to be like, oh no, well, this is a client, I got to get back to him and I got to do this. And it's like, part of it is I want to get it done so then I can spend time with her. But in turn, I'm like snapping at her because I want to finish the task, and it's making it go longer. But I'm like, where in the hell are my priorities? And it's like being able to like take that breath and just focus on being a dad, and in a moment where it's hard, where you feel like you can't focus on it, I want to be able to set my work aside and not stress about those people who honestly, if I text them back 10 minutes later, it's not a big deal. And then just actually be present for my daughter. There's this two-sided coin now of our 50-50 time split. It's a week on, week off. And so with the week off, it's like, oh man, it's like party time, right? It's like you have
realtors all day.
Yes, exactly. you have your life back, right? But then when you're on. But then you really are able, I think, to be more present in that time, because that time is a little more special, and it's not all the time. And then so there's all those really beautiful moments, and I really want to try. My goal is to try to be present for more of those. She's 10, and it's like how many older we get?
It goes fast. Yeah.
And we're here, Mireille Enos is here as well. So do you have anything that you want to confess anything?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
No, while you guys were talking, I was like, what's my confession? So I'm a person who believes in therapy. I have a therapist.
Yeah. We both do.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. My teenage daughter has a therapist. That's been wonderful for her. I really like her therapist. And occasionally her therapist will invite me to be a part of that session. So that we can, for Vesper's benefit, we can talk through something that she brought to therapy. Sometimes it doesn't have to do with me. Sometimes it does have to do with me. So my daughter and I are very similar. We have a great relationship. We also both have kind of this need to be right. And so occasionally that shows up at the same time. And then, and then there's, some tension. So a week ago, I was invited to therapy to talk about a disagreement that Vesper and I had. And it was a lovely session and productive. And afterwards, Vesper and I continued to talk for a long time. Well, I just got a text a couple days ago from the therapist saying, I wonder if it would be productive, instead of Vesper coming next week, if you and I would just have a session to continue the work.
Oh, weird, man. Weird.
And all kinds of like ragey, defensive, weirdo feelings came up of like,
how dare this
you're
woman?
not my therapist. Why am I doing work with you? Just you, like really defensive and crazy.
Yeah, well, that is a weird text to get, I think.
I mean, it just sent me like spiraling and like wanting to like yell at the text, phone. Yeah. And ultimately I wrote, sure. Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah.
And I'll show up and it will be great. It'll be, whatever it is will be great. But
so
that was not my initial.
That's down the road.
That's down the road.
Are you gonna bring that feeling to the session though, and even cop to it in the session?
Well, I mean, even as I'm talking about it, I have like anxiety in my body. Like approaching that session, I'm probably gonna be like, a little like, and I'm gonna have to breathe my way through that.
What do you think at the heart of that is that big reaction? Do you think it's fear? Do you think it's like, are you incensed that it's like become about you somehow? Or
I mean, is defensiveness ultimately fear? Probably. Anger is masks fear.
Yeah, I think
so.
Almost everything.
It probably is like going to be called out, and like the truth is, in my own therapy work, I am proud to say that I show up pretty unguarded and willing to do the work. But like to be asked by someone who's not my person to do that, it's like, it brings up.
I had the same reaction for you. I was like, what? That's a weird thing to ask.
But the truth is she's great. And it's not actually work. She's not asking me to come to do work for me. Yeah. She's asking me to come to do work on Vesper's behalf.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and do you think it's something that Vesper's not comfortable saying in front of you?
I don't think so because actually when we got off the session last week, Vesper was like, I'm sorry I did that. I was uncomfortable having a witness. Actually, I just wanted to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But that's neither here nor there. What was interesting was my like I didn't do anything wrong reaction that I had.
It's funny though, because like you just made me think of when you said you show up relatively unguarded for your own therapy. That took me years to get to that. I like paid a therapist to go in there and lie to them for like 8 years, like for real, in part anyway. Yeah. And then finally, my therapist, who I had for the last 5 years, my first session, she was like, "You're bullshit. I'm not going to see you unless you want to find someone else to pay $400 an hour to lie to. Go ahead." Yeah. And I was like, you're the one, you can help me. But that feeling of getting to a place where you're unguarded with your therapist and then having your child's therapist ask you to come in, like I feel like it would be another step of like that same work, right? Like being vulnerable in another way as a parent to like go in and therapize in regards to your child. I think I would have
This woman is super brilliant and she's so perfect for my daughter. She's quite young. She's just getting licensed, which is awesome. And she kind of physically like looks a little bit like my daughter. So there's a mirror thing. And it's been very helpful. But then I also bring into that, like, I am the matriarch in this dynamic, And so I'm sure I will be unguarded, but the goal will be to let go of that thing of showing up being like, but actually, I know all these things that.
Is it in person or Zoom?
Zoom.
Yeah. That's how ours is too. And well, my daughter's doing therapy as well, and it's on Zoom. And you're not in the room ever unless you're invited, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, because it's this weird thing, and I live, I kind of have this sad small divorce apartment, and like
it's not that sad. A lot of candles.
Yeah. Oh, we got candles. Yeah, but so then I have to I go in my room and I'm like putting on headphones, and I put in the AirPods and it accidentally connects to the computer, and I just no. So, but I'm like so hyper vigilant about trying to not and she's only 10, but I still don't want to hear. I mean, I want to hear what she's saying, of course, but like I don't.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
I gotta
her
give her privacy,
space, yeah.
and it's like I don't know. I'm just so conscious of that, but at the same time, all I want to do is know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
You know.
Can I ask you guys something?
Yes.
And this is me trying to not blow up my children's spot, but like, how did you broach the conversation of therapy with your children, or did they come to you? Because I'm in that precarious position right now.
My daughter came to me and asked.
Okay.
Right.
At what age?
12.
Okay.
This is our second go round.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
actually
with
it was
therapy.
it was a couple years ago. And she was just, just a little on the margins, on the edges. It was nothing like major wrong. And my ex was, was much more proactive about it than I was. And I think it was just brought up as like, hey, do you want someone else to talk to besides us, about this stuff? And then more recently, there was just some other stuff that because it's also, she remembers doing it. And so you say, hey, there's this thing happening. Would you like to go back to therapy? And she's like, I would. I'd like to have a woman therapist this time.
Right.
Is what she said, because it was a man the last time. Yeah. And so she was like, yeah, I want to do it. And then, hey, how did therapy go? Oh, it was great.
See, that's awesome.
So it's like,
So did you guys, you never had this when you were younger, right? Like
I did, yeah.
You did?
You did?
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
Do tell, Reed.
Yeah. So right before 6th grade, I got the bombshell that my parents were splitting up, right?
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was just like, I was what?
Yeah.
I was like, I hadn't, like, they didn't even fight in front of me ever, really. So I had no clue. And it just like, I went from like straight A student to like failing student. I just like completely checked out. Like I think it just like changed my brain chemistry actually, because I still like some of those things that manifested after that was, I guess, my way of acting out or calling for help or whatever are still things that I struggle with today in terms of like finishing projects or like being, just like being on top of certain things. And I think it was just bad enough that my mom had been going to therapy, and then once she left my dad, was going back to school to get her master's and become a therapist. She just like, hey, I like my therapist. I think you should. No, I don't even think I think you should go. Like, you need to go.
Yeah.
And so, and it didn't really work for me. Like, I don't think I.
So to wrap it all, put a button on it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was a
talk
great idea.
therapy at that age actually is really tricky, and it's not always exactly what is right for kids, because words are hard sometimes at that age.
I mean, even now, I'm not sure how much therapy does for me.
Like, reflection is hard, right?
Yeah,
like,
and I don't like to reflect.
Therein
I
lies
just
the
want to
problem.
reflect positivity. And I remember, like, I don't think I was opening up that much.
Yeah.
And the therapist suggested, hey, why don't we play a game of chess? Because a lot of times, you can talk.
Yeah.
And then I would just like focus on the chess game and beat him, Didn't say anything, And so it was just like, I just, I don't remember getting much out of it. And even now I wonder, and I've been doing therapy for a year. I don't know. My life is in a way better place, so I don't know if it helps. But when I hear about other people in their therapy, like Tyler, we've talked about it a lot, and I have other friends, it seems a lot different than what I do. I feel like mine is a little more like surfacey in a way.
Well, that's where you're beginning, right? Like,
Yeah.
And you do hit a wall with talk therapy too. Like, I went for 4 years to my therapist, and like 2 years it was twice a week.
Yeah.
That's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
And then I hit this wall of like, same thing. You're like, I think I feel better and I feel different.
Yeah.
And then I sought out other forms of therapy like EMDR, and then I did NET, and I try all these different and somatic therapy, and I love it all. I'll take all of it. Like, I'll do it. I'll like be driving all over town to like 3 different therapists in a day. I really like it. No, I mean, there's no end to the support that you can receive, you know. And I also have AA. It takes, I don't want to say it takes a village, but it does take a
Takes a
village.
village.
Well, and
to raise me.
it also takes the right therapist, because I feel like there's this balance between someone who is comforting enough that you feel safe, but also challenging enough to make you work.
Yeah.
Somebody who's just only listening or only stroking, or that's, you're not going to make progress, but somebody who's only combative, then that's not nice. It's this really fine line.
It's a balance. I had a male therapist early on who was just like, he was the most permissive. He was just like, you're great. You're great.
You're
man.
like,
Like
why
I can
am
tell
I-
just by looking at
awesome.
it.
Why am I
You're a good
here?
guy.
I'm
Like,
great.
And I just would leave there being like, yeah, man, nothing's wrong with me. And then, the contrasting with my other therapist
Yeah,
was like,
so-
you're full of shit. And I was like, oh.
Well, no,
My other guy says I'm great.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
My therapist he's a guy, and he's like your daughter's like I think fresh out of school. It's like
Right,
kind of
right.
doing his hours still. A little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
And he's great, but and sometimes I'm like, okay, dude, stop asking me if I exercise. It's like I'm in charge of this. like I don't need you making me feel guilty every week. Come on. So
Yeah.
and then so a month will go by, and he's like, well, so I wanted to bring up exercise again. Bring it up. No, I didn't.
Let's see how that goes.
Yeah. And it's not like I have a therapist to just have an accountability partner, but sometimes it ends
But
up being
sometimes
that
that
way.
is that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Somebody
yeah.
who's a witness.
Yeah.
A training buddy. Stella.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna say. So, what is it about exercise that?
Oh, yeah. Let's get into it. I took Reed to the gym, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah,
we were workout buddies.
Yeah, we broed it up, man.
Yeah.
Tyler wears like the tank top. I mean, it's bro. It's
I
like
wear fairly standard gym attire.
he's got the guns now, and he shows them off.
I'm all about my legs. My legs are kind of.
Well, no, they're good.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. What is it? Well, it's hard. And I don't like hard things in me sometimes. Like I've just been in like party mode. When you've like depressed for years or whatever, and then like I have my own apartment, and like I have a friend like, hey, would you like to go out for drinks? In fact, I would.
I'm like, hey, you want to go to the gym? You're like, no, I'm going to get a drink.
Exactly.
It's all stages, right? Like it happens when it's supposed to happen for you.
Yeah.
I had a friend who this is like the thing that changed my perspective on the gym. He was like, this is the easiest thing you have to do today. Like, go lift that heavy thing. Go run on that thing for a while. Like, just pick that up. Like, no, I have to do so many other complicated things every day with emotional heavy lifting and my children. And, and then I just go into a gym and I just like redline it and I lift a thing and I run on a thing and I leave there and I'm sweating on the floor and it's like,
yeah.
I did
what
that.
could be
I don't
easier
know.
than
It's
that?
just
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just hard for me, I guess.
Yeah.
I want my health to be better, so it's like I do want to get out there and hit the gym.
Don't worry, I'm not going to pressure you.
Yeah, no.
When you're ready.
Just a little bit, but no.
Mireille, you have a triple black
Double.
belt? Double in Taekwondo.
In Taekwondo.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit.
Thank you.
So there's like edges in you. Like I see you in person, and you're like this. You look like a queen, or you look like royalty. You're like
You're
this
sweet.
wonderfully warm, beautiful, like soft person. But like you must have. There's like some edges in there. I mean, even to get into martial arts like that and take it to that degree.
Yeah.
Where do those edges sit in you? Where's that little tough ass?
Well, I mean, I grew up in this kind of crazy mashup of a house with this super intellectual French-Italian mother, cinephile, the arts, like watching French films and reading French books and all this. And then a Texas father who loaded his own cartridges and had, a closet full of rifles and got me a 22 for my 10th birthday and would set up cans in the backyard and, we'd tink, 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 tink.
Oh, yeah, I did that
And
too.
I was the one handing him wrenches when we worked on the cars.
Yeah.
So there was these very, different aspects. And I think there's 5 of us kids. I'm kind of the most balanced between the two of my parents. My other siblings lean, more one way or the
you're
other.
more
But
in the
I was
middle.
kind of right in the middle. I have to give credit to my dad. I was tiny, I was this tiny little redheaded girl, and he never treated me like there was anything I couldn't accomplish. Piece of plywood, you can pick that up. Let me show you how.
Yeah.
And I was always driving some car across the country that would break down. I was always stranded in the middle of the desert, hitchhiking or changing the tire, whatever it was. My life offered me the opportunity to be scrappy.
Yeah.
And I took that,
Yeah.
I left New York. I moved to LA. I was desperately homesick. And I thought, I need something that's LA specific to my new life. And what's kind of a combination of dance, which I liked, and random kickboxing, whatever. So I thought, well, why don't I take a martial arts class? And I didn't know what style, whatever, but I looked up a few places, and one was a hovel and one was closed. And then I walked into this beautiful studio, light streaming in and a fountain, and this handsome man in his uniform said, "How can I help you?" And I was like,
Is this the guy you still train
Master
with?
King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I took my first class that night, 19 years ago.
Wow.
And and I never stopped.
And you've had your black belt for a while, right? Like you got
I
there
have,
pretty
yeah.
quick. And then
My first belt took me 4 years, and my second degree took me 5 because I had some kids in there.
Yeah. Couple distractions. Yeah.
And are you just like hitting wood and stuff, or are you like combat, like with actual people? I don't know.
Wood.
Yeah.
You're just kicking steel poles.
Could you take me out? Because I'm a giant person.
Immense.
I mean,
Immense.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, all right.
You know, I mean, I'm
Should we
still.
try? Yeah, right now. So we can move the table.
I mean, I'm still the size I am. I'm still the whatever. But the thing that I love about martial arts, it's about stillness and power, and learning how to put those two things together, and getting your mind out of the way, and just like instinct, impulse. And so. I wouldn't want to take you out because you're nice. But if there was somebody less nice, one hopes that I could do enough.
Okay, I got it.
You know?
You're right. That stillness and that sort of focus that comes with martial arts, like acting with you, having had the distinct pleasure of acting with you.
It was likewise.
I didn't even know what you were doing the first few times I saw it. There was like this shift, and it was almost imperceptible, and you were just like, you were your character, and you were very still but powerful and present. Did the martial arts kind of lead you to that ability within your acting range, or is it?
I had already had an impulse for stillness in the work. That's part of, I think, what I love about acting is life is chaos, right? Life is running lists in your brain and 17 things that you're supposed to do. And there's something about when you show up to tell a story and you've been given the words to say, and your only job is that, it quiets me in a way that is really nice,
I wish
right?
I had that.
I mean, I guess I have used my martial arts in some of the work, but like, I think the fact that I have trained in martial arts has guided my career even when I wasn't kicking someone.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's
because
what I mean.
there's
like
a different thing that I would bring into the room.
You have a gravitas. You have like a power. I was thinking of that instance when we were on set, and you were talking about like squaring off with somebody being still, and the power that came out of you. I was just like, I don't want to blow anybody up, but like you were having a disagreement on set about something with a man on set, and you just like planted your feet very wide.
I got really wide and low.
And she just like stood in front of him and didn't flinch, didn't move, held her position on the thing, which is like badass. Because
I got really low. It was
like
crazy.
Really, like almost in a split.
I went down.
I was just standing there like, what is happening right now? It was amazing.
And did you win?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Because I did say the words to him, I need you to agree with me. I need you to hear what I'm saying and agree with me.
He was objectively wrong.
He was objectively wrong, which is part of why I, dug, because he was wrong in like a crazy way. Yeah. So ultimately, we did it the way that I wanted, with this slight threat looming of like, well, we'll just
cut it out.
And
anyway,
but you haven't seen it. This is so. This is for all mankind.
For all mankind,
and it's like the next season that's coming out.
Season 5, Apple TV.
But good. I'll watch all 4 before that. Then I'll be all caught up.
You've got a big journey ahead.
It is a show. It is a task. It's great, but it's like it is a.
There's a lot of ground.
Okay, all right, well, good.
Yeah.
Can we go back to your dad and mom?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So can you tell me about how they met and how that
Yes,
happened?
I mean it's really a story. So my mother, only child of 2 very kind of blue collar French and Italian parents who owned a little cafe, and they were doing fine, but they like lived in a tiny apartment above the cafe, and they had this spectacularly intelligent and beautiful daughter, this only child, right? And she was raised in the Catholic Church, France in the 40s and 50s. But then there started to be these questions, these real questions that she started asking the priests, and they didn't have answers for her that would satisfy her. So she had this crisis of faith, left the church right at the same moment as she was like passing her baccalaureate with flying colors, her end of high school. She was like, she should have been over the moon, but she wasn't. She was in the pits because she had lost faith in God. Meanwhile, my American dad, who his family had joined the church, the Mormon Church, when he was about 10 years old, very shy, desperately shy, was called on a mission to France.
Oh.
There's a language training center where they basically do full immersion for like 6 weeks, and then they drop you into the country, and you're just expected to learn. So he had just landed in France. He could speak a few words, but he had memorized the phrase, "I know that everything my partner has just said is true." Right? Because they go in team, in pairs.
Wow.
So my mother's depressed. There's a knock on the door.
Oh my God. I just got like, I just got a little like shit.
And these two Mormon missionaries are standing there, and my father is one of them. And his partner, the senior partner, starts talking about this church, this new way, this new kind of religion and whatever. And my father says, I know in perfect French, as perfect as he can get, I know everything my partner has just said is true, right? And she was so moved by him, actually, his faith, that she invited him in. They taught her the lessons. And within a month's time, my father baptized her in the Mediterranean Sea on a sunny day with the light streaming in. Then he was transferred, like you do. The missionaries get moved around, whatever. So she's like this odd duck Mormon girl in France, and he goes about his mission. 2 years later, she decides to go to Brigham Young University so that she can meet some other young Mormon people. She runs into him on registration day.
Oh.
6 months later, they're engaged.
What a world, man.
And he was like desperately shy human being. Like there was 3 girls he knew. He was going to marry one of them. And then my mother showed up, and it was like the one moment of bravery in his life. When he leapt.
Well, you got the hot French girl. You gotta
leap.
That's when you do it.
He just leapt. And then they had this
Grand
like...
jeté.
Yeah, they had this crazy mashup of a life, these big personalities and so different and also so similar in a lot of ways. They were both like doers,
And that's the environment you grew up in.
That's the environment that I grew up in, where there was like 2 gods in the house. There was God and there was art.
Oh,
and
rad.
They were treated with equal weight, and the religion was a little theatrical, like like their version of it was big, you know.
And they kept that they didn't waver from their faith.
They did not waver from their faith.
I can't remember. Did you? I know you went to BYU.
I went to BYU.
But you had a journey to get to BYU too, didn't you? Go to New York first, and then
No, I went straight out of high school to BYU.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was there for 3 years.
And then were you practicing then growing up, and by the time you got to high school and all that? And
I was practicing through high school. I was practicing when I got to BYU. And then the truth is my family's version was cooler than kind of the mainstream BYU thing. And when I looked at that version of the religion, at 19, I started asking myself what I wanted for the long journey and what my path to happiness was.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it didn't include the church, but I didn't leave mad,
Yeah.
There was a lot that I'm really grateful for, that I grew up seeing the world through the lens,
But you're inactive now, and your kids aren't. Yeah.
And how did your parents take that?
They took it fine. I'm sure they had a lot of their own kind of trepidation and disappointment, but they were whatever. They were supportive. They were always
They just
supportive
loved
of
you.
me.
Yeah.
I moved to New York. I got a one-way bus ticket to New York City, and they were like, they were on my team.
Yeah, no, that's lovely, because I know there's a lot of, rifts when that happens sometimes, depending on how devout the parents are. So it's like, I think that can be scary for people who are in like these kind of religious families, that if you all of a sudden are not practicing, because God is more important than your family to a lot of people, right? So.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to put it in those terms.
Yeah.
I remember my mom was, you kind of always are. She's a fundamentalist Christian. Like, believed that people used to live to be 800 years old, and there were giants, and like that's all legit to her. I know, it's crazy. But I remember like 19, I decided I didn't want to be in the church when I was like 13. My brother and I, my mom was just like, oh my God, like it was the worst thing we could have told her. Because that means we're damned, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
So by the time I was 20, my mom and dad had the most horrific split, and my mom kind of like just disintegrated, but built herself up again with Jesus, which, as you do. And it became, it's like she doubled down on this fundamentalism.
Yeah.
I remember having this one conversation with her where I was like, because I am the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is nonsense. And I just said to her, I thought I had like a loophole. I was like, Mom, look me in the eyes and tell me that you think that just because I'm not Christian, I am definitely going to hell. And she was like, oh, sweetheart, you are.
Oh my God.
You know,
So
just like
intense.
look in her eyes, like it's your
so
choice.
heavy.
Right.
You are. And I was like,
She's like, I'm really gonna miss you.
like, Mom, holy shit, man.
Wow.
You think I deserve to go to hell in the eyes of your religion? Like I am.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. She's
Yeah,
changed a
it's
little
heavy.
bit since. Yeah.
Do you guys believe in astrology?
I believe in it is like, I think there's power to, there's celestial power for sure. And when you're born and what was happening in
It's
the
like
cosmos.
undeniable that there's something that weaves it all
Is it
together.
really undeniable?
Is like a horoscope accurate? I don't know.
I mean, I would never use it in a predictive way,
No,
right?
no.
Okay.
That's, horoscopes for me are like nonsense.
But when you see people and their sign, there is something kind of like cancers all really like to cry at home, like there are things that.
Are you a Cancer?
No, my husband is.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And other beloved friends. But like there is something, but it's like that thing where it's like another way of organizing. It's lenses, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you say to yourself, green car, in the morning you wake up and you're like, green cars, right?
Right.
Then suddenly you see a lot of green cars.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm anal,
So-
not because I'm a Virgo.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I know this wonderful astrologer and I have been to her several times,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
The way that she like reads the charts, it's like a therapy session, right? It draws things up in a new way that then you're aware of them and you look for them and maybe it just helps shift something in the way that you. But if she said you're definitely doing this job in 2 years, I wouldn't believe that was true.
No, I think
No,
that's
no. I
that's
think
true.
that's a healthy way to look at it.
That's how I do it.
There's also like, you're right about categorization. Like, not that I want to stick people in categories, but my ex-wife had, I don't know what it is. There's that book. It's like the tome of like, it's like every sign, like your moon sign, your astrological sign, and then you like whittle it down to like this paragraph about what sort of your traits are.
Yeah.
That was like scary how accurate it was for me. I was like, oh my God, like it was me to a T. And I'd never seen that kind of evidence of like what people had gleaned from astrology being that accurate. And that blew my mind a little
Well,
bit.
it's like what you said about me earlier, which was like, when you first meet me, it's this warmth and whatever, right? So I'm a Virgo, which is an earth sign.
Yeah.
My moon and my rising are Aries and Leo. Those are fire signs, right? And so that fire is definitely a part of who I am.
That's the ass kicker.
And you could say it's my Texas father. You could say it's my Aries, emotion, whatever. But I think it's a different way of organizing.
And I don't know. I guess I'm just inherently a skeptic, and I have like very dear friends who like are like studying it and doing it, and it's like, and I'm not, it's like I believe them though too, and so it's just like, I don't know. I just haven't been able to find the connection, and I just wonder though, if you read all the other signs, could you see those in yourself too? And so that's because when we see those books, we tend to what's the Virgo say?
Right,
And then
yeah.
you don't look at the others, right?
It became like a thing it was almost like a party trick.
Right.
My ex would be like, okay, come into the bedroom. I'm going to do, and so I listened to almost all of them, and no, it was not that. It was, they were very, very case specific, and that's why. It really
What
blew
is
my
your
mind.
sun sign?
What's
When
the
are you
sun sign?
born?
September 18th. I'm a Virgo.
You're a Virgo.
Yeah.
Guys, like, oh yeah.
That's what we saw
you're a
this
Virgo.
yesterday. Yeah, I'm a Virgo. Yeah.
Can you guys guess what I am?
My two guesses are Taurus.
What was your other guess?
Leo.
Yeah, I get that a lot, but I'm Taurus. Yeah,
Get that a lot.
April
Wait,
29th.
people are guessing your sign?
People love to talk about this stuff.
Tyler, I love our Patreon community.
Me too.
It's so fun. We're having good conversations. We are getting in there, having behind the scenes footage, kind of showing different sides of us. In fact, we were talking with part of the staff here at Tiny Legends today, and they were saying it's a really good place to unleash your anxiety. So whenever we're feeling...
We're going to get creative on there,
whenever we're feeling like nervous about the show, we can just tape a little selfie video,
Yep.
and then we can post it on our Patreon.
And if you have a lot of money and you want to support us, we would really appreciate it. You get that top tier button, but also you get a weekly shout out on the show. So it's a little bonus.
And, we are absolutely cobbling this thing together. So the support of our listeners and viewers is so important to keep the show going.
Yeah.
We want to continue having these conversations, continue having these guests come in. I think we have actually a good show. I'm really proud of it. And we're so appreciative of everyone listening. And so if you want to help support, join our community, be a part of it. It's patreon.com/ILYSM pod. ILYSM pod.
That's it.
Come on in.
Yeah.
Look, it's well established at this point. I'm not a pet guy.
You're not a pet guy.
But if I have a candle in my house, I want it to be pet friendly in case a pet comes over. I mean, I
You
would
never
never
know.
allow a pet in my house.
Yeah.
But
in case.
Yeah, in case. And I know you have pets.
Yeah, and we're also working on changing here in this podcast, right? We might change that about you eventually.
Well, if I want a pet friendly candle that's non-toxic, that's made by a small business, hand poured, Night Blooms Goods.
The one right there.
Check out their website, nightbloomsgoods.com. You're going to see all the different candles they have. They're a 1% for the planet company, Tyler.
Which is amazing.
And these are good people. I've gotten to know them a little bit because we've created, of course, our signature candle.
Yeah.
It's the I Love You So Much candle, ILYSM candle. It is, Yuzu Blossom.
On
Santal.
Yeah.
Man,
It smells like love.
It does smell
so
like
much.
love. It's so much smells like love.
Yeah.
It is so great. So you can't get that on nightbloomsgoods.com, but you can get it on ILYSMpod.com, which is our merch store. But go to Night Blooms' website and you're going to use the code ILYSM20 and you're going to get 20% off your first order. And they have 12 different scented candles and they're all phenomenal. They look
truly
great in
are.
your home, non-toxic, all the stuff. So we cannot stress enough how much we love these candles.
My friend Deirdre reads tarot cards, but not like as a hobby. It's like a thing. She it is a hobby. She doesn't get paid to do it, but she does it for everyone. She does it religiously, for lack of a better term. And she has read my tarot cards a number of times, and it's pretty informative, man. Like it does, not in a predictive way. She doesn't do it that way, but it is.
My mom used to do it.
Yeah,
she would do it. Yeah, and my friends would come over. Oh, Suzanne, can you read my tarot cards? And well, I certainly can. And,
there's like magic in it. Like in AA.
Yeah, and I kept one of her decks.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I was going through her stuff and I got to keep that.
They're kind of beautiful, those decks.
Yeah, those
like
decks are neat. Yeah,
the cosmic dust. You know what I mean? Like in AA, they make you decide or pick kind of a higher power. And for me, like God is not some guy with a beard in the clouds.
Right, yeah.
And for me, it was just like the cosmos. It was like the universe. This that we're all made of the same exact thing. And that's crazy. That's magical. Like everything just came. If you think about how the earth was formed and water just coming here in one big rush, and it's like an evolutionary super fluke that we're even here. So I think there is magic we can't comprehend or understand about what we're made of, and because we're all the same thing, it's we have the need for these categories and differentiation.
I mean, that makes sense to me. It's I don't know.
I want to talk about something kind of crazy really quick.
Please.
Speaking of magic.
Okay.
I'm studying to be a magician. No, I'm just kidding. I want to do some close-up magic right
Okay, that's fine.
I have a friend who is like a tech, I don't want to say billionaire, but maybe close. And he doesn't have to do anything anymore. He just has this amazing house, and he just sort of he's just does whatever he wants. And he picked up this hobby of going all around the world and collecting water samples, and then bringing them home for these kind of mythical water spots, like raw water that's been a mile under the earth for 1.5 million years or whatever. Right. So he freezes the water samples that he takes, and they're from these special spots because apparently that water has the most memory. Okay,
right, yeah,
has the most ability to carry memory, as they say the water has memory. And that sounds nuts to me, right? But everything we see is filtered through water, right? We can't even process images without it of passing through water. So he's showing me this book of all these samples, and he shows me some of them in his fridge. And it's not just I guess I kind of see a dog's nose. It's that's a fucking dog's nose, man. And that's what is
in
that?
The water, like a reflection.
In the water? No, he froze it.
Like an image.
A microscope, you take
not microscopically. He's got it in a petri dish.
It's in the petri dish. You see it. You don't have to look through it.
No. So it's frozen. It's a very thin sample of water in the bottom of a petri dish. He freezes it after he's exposed it to, let's say, Jerry for a week, and the crystals in the water freeze into an image of his nose. And I was like, that sounds nuts, man. He took me to his little secret shack out in the woods.
Sort of like film, maybe.
It's a bit it got enough exposure to that image.
It took the image,
and it decided to take an image at one point, and it's there. And there were dozens and dozens of examples of that where I was like, that. And even if he was manipulating, I'm like, I don't know how you could do that with water. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to piggyback on that.
It's magic. There's magic in the world, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that. This is a little different, but it's water as well. Okay,
right.
so I don't know who did it, but this person took water, all these different jars and jars and jars of water, and he put words on them. And some of them were positive and some of them were negative, love, hope, murder, all of these different words. And he let the words just sit on the outside of the water. And then he had photographed the water on a molecular level at the beginning, identical water. And then just sitting with the words on the water, he photographed them again, however long later. And the molecular structure of the water had changed. And based on the positivity or negativity of the word, the water was either like glorious bursts of light or murky, ugly shards, whatever.
That shit is crazy.
It's crazy. And then you think our bodies are made of water.
Water, yeah.
And so what we expose ourselves to, what we like, changes our...
Even the way we speak about ourselves, everything,
changes on a molecular level, our insides.
I love this
positive self-talk.
Is God water? Is that?
That's a
Got her.
That's a good question.
It's insane. I just we don't need to harp on that for too long, but like there's just magic in the world, and like so astrology is no different, I don't think. Okay, I'm gonna segue this into some misogyny because we're here to talk about like toxic masculinity a little bit. You have been in the theater scene for a long time, and then film and TV for a long time as well. Like I grew up in the scene as well, not theater as much, but like there's rampant misogyny everywhere in film that I've seen. But I was curious about the theater scene. Like, is it a little more respectful or different in the theater scene, or is there a lot of like?
I've been super lucky.
Yeah.
I've definitely been on film sets where there was like a boys club thing going on, which was real uncomfortable. But mostly I have worked with really kind, open, wonderful men.
Yeah.
I was my first play on Broadway. There was 25 men and me.
Whoa.
And it was a male director and a male playwright.
Right,
It was Tom Stoppard's The Invention of Love, and just about the loveliest group of humans that you could spend time with. So I'm not trying to say that it doesn't exist. It 100% exists, but I have been very lucky.
Yeah, it's a touchy thing to talk about too, because we're in this industry. As it exists,
Did you? And I get the other place that we can think of with the misogyny is, did you feel that in the church? Because I mean, the Mormon Church is very patriarchal, right?
It is very patriarchal.
And so, do you think in there is like inherent misogyny?
I think yes. I think the answer is yes. And again, I think my experience was quite lucky. Now, look, there are people who are made victims no matter if they're strong or weak, or, all kinds of things. But I do walk through the world kind of like, you say what you say and I'm going to do what I do, right? And so it's possible that I didn't attract that kind of like make her small energy, because I'm not interested in being made small. And so that was maybe helpful, but also the people that I grew up with were nice people, they were nice people.
Well, and it sounds like your dad was really positive.
My dad was, really positive. But I think it's undeniable, any system that says only men can have the priesthood, only men are the ones sitting up on the stand, only, men are running the church and mostly white men, that there's a problem there. You could just look at it and be like, that doesn't represent the world.
Right. Well, I remember I was in Salt Lake City once, just like, driving through and just did, let's go check out the temple. And, and I remember asking one of them, which way do I go to get back to the freeway? And they're like, I don't know anything about any outside of the temple. I'm so sorry. I can't help you with that. And I was just like, oh my, it was just, it wasn't even like, oh no, I just moved here. I don't know. It was just, it's just like, oh, I can't really be talking to you about this sort of thing. And it was like, it like freaked me out.
Yeah. I mean, my mom was also a feminist. She didn't have that word. She would never have said that, but she was a feminist. And so the messaging to me was, women don't have the priesthood because men need it more because women are awesome. Right? That's what she said to me. And she was like, the priesthood's to help them out because they've got some work to do.
Yeah, they need a thing.
They need a thing, right? So that's, I was like, oh yeah, I'm good. I don't know. But I don't think that is really the message in the church.
That was your special.
That was my special kind of unique experience.
Truly sound like you didn't deal with this at all because your parents were incredible.
Because my parents were who they were. And I also think that the church, the further you get away from Utah, the less kind of like by the book it is. The church in France looks completely different. The church in Japan, it's a global religion now. So I think, Texas is complicated politically, but Texas people are wonderful people. They're kind of like can do. And so the people I grew up with were also like that. They were like, whatever. They were great.
So crazy. You're so like, got your shit together.
Oh,
yeah. I have a question just because I was obsessed with The Killing and specifically your character as a woman. I was truly like goals. Was that easy for you to get into? Like that kind of sort of...
we've been talking these aspects of people. I think what was true while I was shooting that show, I had my daughter, I was pregnant with my daughter during the pilot. We started shooting episode 2 when she was 7 weeks old. So it was an exercise in compartmentalizing. There was no spare moment. My husband sat in the trailer 12 hours a day so I could nurse, and I would run back and forth and shoot whatever and then come back and nurse. And at night we would get home and I'd be learning lines and feeding the baby and doing, abs. So it was a crazy time and a magic and incredible time. And what I found in that compartmentalization was I could put all of my complicated, more masculine, more troubled, more all of those aspects of myself into her. And then they didn't need to bleed into when I was with my baby. Then I could just be a mother there. It was actually kind of bliss because everything had its place.
Healthy compartmentalization.
It was healthy compartmentalization.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for all the work I've gotten to do. I did hit a point where I was like, I am not only that tough creature. I am also soft. I also like to laugh. I'm also a banana, and I would love to tell stories about people whose power doesn't look like carrying a gun, whose power looks like vulnerability, and that has been a tricky transition to ask for. But it is true that when I am getting to get that kind of the ragey part of myself, put it into my work, then in the rest of my life, I'm pretty good. Yeah,
like I'm pretty shocked how like sweet you, because I was very into that role.
You and me both. Like because I think your performance in The Killing is miraculous. It was one of those performances where you're like, oh my god, but it leaves you wondering. I'm working with you, and all I had was our one-time mutual agent being like, she's lovely. I was like, I'm really nervous to meet her, man. And then you rolled up on set and immediately hugged me and said hello. I was just like, oh my god. But my expectations were
well, a lot of people would ask my agent like, are you okay? And it's like, no, she's not. That's not who she is.
Why did they confuse? I mean, we all know, like, so actors aren't their roles.
Yeah, but
we all know, right?
But we know.
Is that one though?
We know, but
is that one? Has
that followed you like that? Where it's like people do think you're that over any other role you've had?
This is a consistent reaction with people who meet me for the first time. They're like, oh
my god, you're nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mireille, I wanted to, because we've talked about this a little bit, weird time in our industry.
Weird time.
I'm hitting a wall where like trusting my value and what I do and what I've done for my whole life is like becoming really difficult for me.
Yep.
I feel like the futility of it often, that's why we're here doing it.
You should start a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I can always podcast. But like, I'm no joke. I'm getting to the end of my rope where I'm like, I don't know if I am going to do this anymore.
Right.
Not because I want to quit. I'll always be an actor, but like I just wonder sometimes with we all sit around wondering what other actors are feeling right now and what they're thinking, and we've talked about it a little bit, and you have for All Mankind, but I'm just wondering if you've come up against any of this like real deep like what do I have? What's my value as a performer?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I had this terrible thought, and then I'm gonna balance it. But I had this terrible thought. My husband and I went on a date, and we went to see a movie, and we went to see like an early showing of something, and I was watching all the trailers, and it's gonna make me emotional.
That's okay. Reed cried within the first 5 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was watching one after another trailer, and some of them, whatever, were things I wouldn't see, and some of them were great, and people I respect and whatever. And this phrase went through my mind: "You are not part of the conversation."
Oh. Yeah.
Now, at bar class the other day, this woman came up to me, and she was like, "I just have to say to you that I saw you in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and it was a transformative moment for me. And then I went on to watch your career in The Killing, and the fact that I'm in class with you right now is like," and then she started crying. Then she was like, "I'm so sorry, I'm on my period." But so there is balance, and every actor who has done things they're proud of has also has moments that where they feel this way.
Yeah.
And careers are long. Like that's part of it, right? Lives are long and careers are long. But it is a very humbling thing to be like in this moment.
Yeah.
And then it begs the question, like, why do I care, right?
Yeah.
But I think some of us show up with enough of a complicated history or enough of a, whatever it is that we're like, are drawn to being storytellers, to inhabiting other lives, that's how we experience empathy, is to bring people who are in completely different like versions of this life on this planet like to the forefront so that other people can hopefully like imagine what that other life is like, right?
Yeah.
And so that's who I am, right? Like I like telling stories, and people say to me, "Maybe you're a writer." Maybe I'm like, I'm not. I'm not a director. I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I read a script and I see it from inside my eyes.
Me too. I can't. I can't just read a script. I'm acting it the whole
time. I'm hearing it. I'm so whatever. So things go up and down.
Yeah.
But like, what else am I going to do? There's not another thing. If there had been another thing, I'd probably be doing it.
When you say I'm not part of the conversation, is that because of like what I think Tyler's going through? That the industry is changing so much, there's fewer stuff going on, or it is also because you're hitting an age where actresses have trouble with the roles and and what we've all heard about? I
think it's many things. I think there's a lot less work going on. I think I'm in a transitional moment in terms of age. I'm not ashamed to say I'm 49. I'm approaching my 50th birthday, right?
Yeah.
And it's still going good, like 50 is still okay. But it's not the same as 35, right? And I even felt a transition like from 35 to 40. Like there was like these early years where I was shooting The Killing, and in my hiatuses, I was shooting 1 or 2 films. Like I did not stop moving for 5 years. And then that number ticked and it was just different, right? And then I've continued to work. I have no reason to complain. I was, I'm working on For All Mankind. I have independent film scripts that get sent to me, right? So I'm so lucky. It's different than, I'm flying to London to shoot a feature with Brad Pitt. It's not the same, right? And
that's
so
the
then
conversation you feel like you're not a part of. Right?
That I'm not a part of, and there is a grieving, there's a grieving thing that shows up.
Is your husband feeling it too? And he's Alan Ruck, right?
He's Alan Ruck.
Yeah. From Succession and Ferris Bueller.
He just got some good news though, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Well, and it's actually it's great to have an example right in front of my eyes in my house. When I was in those years where my work was exploding, he had been doing a lot of jobs that he could not have cared less about, right around that time. And it was right around when he turned 50. He was like, look, you've got the killing and we have a baby. And I could not care less about this.
Right.
Stuff is coming my way right now. So I'm going to step out. And he was dad for 4 years. And then look, he just had Succession, which was like the show of the mom,
show.
and like just the work that he did, like it was my extreme pleasure, like
character.
to sit with him.
Top 3,
And there was a couple of times watching his work that I turned to him without any kind of like nothing negative attached, and I said, "You are better at this than me," and it was like such a pleasure to be able to say that to him,
Could he hear it?
Did he cry?
Yeah. It's hard to receive that kind of stuff, especially from your partner.
I mean, he has a very hard time receiving anything kind of like compliments, positive. But he received what I meant, the gift I was trying to give him. And so it's like, things go like that, right?
Yeah.
And he's having like a little renaissance. He's like the only man in Hollywood working right now. He's like got 5 episodes on this funny show, and he's got these 2 little cool, very different movies, and then he's got this big movie happening. I can flag it a little bit.
Do it.
He and Matthew Broderick are doing a film together.
No.
Ferris and Cameron back together.
Back together, but it has nothing to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is a movie about lifelong male friendship.
Oh, I love it.
And it is the most beautiful script. And
My friend Alan Loeb wrote that.
Alan Loeb. It's so gorgeous. I just read it, and like they're gonna have the time of their lives, and it's just perfect for them. And so
I mean, I would love to get Alan on here because Cameron is such a fucking touchstone, man. And it's like
our 10-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, you were this right age too when that came out.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
51.
I had a big crush on Cameron. Yeah, for sure.
Fun.
He was, And our 10-year-old, his morning ritual looks like he gets woken up. The dogs jump in his bed, lick him. He sits up in his bed. He gets delivered breakfast in bed while he has a little iPad time. That's how he wakes up. So yesterday he put on Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and he spent his morning watching his dad. It's very cute.
I have a question about when you were having your, again, going back to gender roles.
Yeah.
Like, was it difficult for him?
For sure.
It was.
For sure.
Yeah.
And thankfully, he was able to say that to me, because otherwise that's how resentment,
What are you talking about when you were at a real height of your
height and
career?
he was being Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
He would say, look, I said I would do it, and I'm doing it. And my ego is so smashed right now.
Yeah.
And I would say, thank you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Thank you.
The communication is the key there, right? Like resentment's just fester if you sit on something that big.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful that he would do that for you, Yeah. I mean, it's
awesome.
and your family, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's being a good dad, being a good partner.
Yeah.
The conversation. I just wanted to talk about that for one second.
Yeah.
One more. And you're talking about a career being a long thing. And
Yes.
that was something that my partner said to me. She's like, a career is a long thing. And that's such a succinct way to put it, but it is. And I think I told you I started going back through like iconic resumes on IMDb, like Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Like there are moments, there are gaps, like
big
3-4 year gap. Who knows what was happening? Maybe they're in
Yeah.
theater, maybe they took a step back. And then there's like they all have strings of really bad movies, and they have like and like ups and downs, and like when you look at it from that perspective on a resume, it's like, oh, it's a little blip. But 4 years in your life,
It feels like a long time.
yeah, and those transitional periods are probably what informed them as performers and made them better. And I think that's the way I am getting through this. Is like this is for a reason. Like this period of like transition.
That's right.
Also, I'm getting close to 50, and like I transitioned on a show from my 40s to my 30s to my mid 40s.
Yeah.
That felt, I was like, oh, this is easy. And then I came off the show, and everyone's like, you're really old now. Your whole face is white. When did that happen? Anyway, point being, just the conversation, and then coupled with like these ebbs and flows, and the bigger picture of a career being a long thing, is like that's kind of all we can go on right now. And then collecting all the feelings.
Yes, collecting all the feelings, and knowing that like careers go up and down for everybody always, and we've been in a strange 5 years, which included the global pandemic, which then had a strike on its heels, and then a retraction in the so it's like we all would have felt ups and downs anyway, but everyone's feeling it in such like a bigger scale.
Yeah, and then like talking about friends, I have lots of friends, but then you see the stuff that's being made, and some of them are your peers, and you're like, well,
yeah,
I was a part of that conversation. How am I not? Yeah. So it is weird. It's like it really messes with your
it
head.
does. It
Like,
messes with your head.
Yeah. Tyler, so for you, I'm wondering, like, you're getting to 52, and even for men, if that's
50
a thing.
also.
Yes, not 52.
I'm almost 52. Okay, that's just me. But do you feel like, because you've had a physical transformation over the last few years?
Oh, that's a good point.
So you're like, because I feel like your stock and trade a bit was like the chubby best friend,
friend.
Yeah,
I mean, it was.
And now you're like ripped.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get people say that. I can't.
Well, you are.
Body dysmorphia is a real thing.
Yeah.
I felt the muscles.
But you go through. I like even talking about characters like in Hannah and The Killing and World War Z and that movie you made with Schwarzenegger and you were playing a lot of these.
A lot of really tough. Yeah.
That was your bread and butter for a long time, and then you start feeling like, well, I want to stretch. I want to do some other things, and I did. I asked for New Amsterdam. Like I asked for a drama. I got the most dramatic. I got to cry every episode. I got to do all the stuff I wanted to do, and then I come off it and I'm trying to knock on the comedy door a little bit again. Yeah. And people are like, no, you don't. You still do it. And then with the transformation, I'm getting a lot of like, you're not funny. You're not really like funny anymore. And I'm like, well, I also don't feel like that guy, so it's weird. I don't want to go and like be this schlubby guy. And I've done something that I think reflects more how I feel on the inside and kind of always have. Like when your aesthetic kind of finally matches up with maybe a feeling of who you are
inside.
So it's a weird thing. It was really sad. I actually asked my agents the other day, I was like, should I like put the weight back on? No, I know, but it was like a moment of weakness, just like, and they were just like, no, this is not. And Sean, he's endlessly optimistic. We had the same agent at one point. He's just like, it's just this. It's just going to take time. We'll find the right thing. But it has occurred to me, like, I don't think people know what to, like, I'm putting in tapes that I think are fantastic. I'm getting very close to a lot of things, but I think it's just like, they don't know where to put me. They don't know what to do with me at this point. And that's something I have to just kind of
well, you're just gonna have
wade
to
through,
forge your new path. And
that's right.
I think, and this is part of it too. And I think if you can be identified with your like genuine self, with your like kind, empathetic, like the self who's working on getting better and also funny and charming and all those things, I think the more authentically you is out there, I think that it's going to be easier. Well, I'm hopeful.
I'm
that,
trying,
right?
but I'm playing a lot of like bad guys.
Right.
I'm like, I'm playing a lot of
interesting.
bad people. Like the last 2 movies I did, which is really fun.
Yeah.
But like murderous, bad, deep, dark people, and like it's great. I'm getting to put that out there too, and like people, and that's the thing. They can see me as that now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what's coming next, but I know it's gonna be what it's meant to be.
What it's meant to be. That's right.
Yeah. And we just never stop. You know what I mean? Like
that's right.
Like
we
what
just
you said is very true. Like people are like, write a script, go do a thing. I'm like,
that's not.
I don't do that, man.
I don't do that. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, we should. Yeah, should we just end? That's not. Is that a down note? I don't think it's a down note.
I think it's
we should be
optimistic.
happy that we're. Because I'm doing that too. I'm trying to transition myself. I've been so sick of like not having a fulfilling creative life. And then to be able to start this show and come in and have these beautiful conversations and contribute something. I mean, it feel already, we're just a few episodes in, it just feels so amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like in whether we're financially successful or whatever, creatively it feels fulfilling. On a personal level, it feels like what a joy to be a part of this conversation today. So I feel so fortunate.
You guys have it so tough too. I just want to say, as an outsider, actors, man, like fuck.
Yeah, we chose it though, man.
I know you chose it, and I know everyone's like, what are they complaining? But that fuck, it's a mind fuck.
It is a mind. It surely is a mind fuck.
Because you can't do it alone. Right. Somebody has to invite you. Yeah. I mean, you can make plays in your living room.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly the same,
Well, you have to find someone to write. You have to find someone to write those plays.
Well, right, yeah.
I can improv. I can improv a little performance in my living room, but the same.
So Mireille, thank you. I mean, what a joy to have you. What a joy to meet you. Yeah. And we really appreciate it. And I think, Tyler, we have a gift on the...
Yes. So Reed, this is another reason why I love Reed. Out of the myriad of reasons I love Reed. He found this company up in Ojai called Night Blooms. And they make candles. And they made us our own ILYSM candle. And we wanted to gift that to you.
It's a signature scent. It smells really great. Also available in our merch store, by the way. But we're so excited. They're burning here in the studio.
And it says, "I love you so much."
Yes,
that's the name of the podcast.
Yeah,
we love you. Yeah, we're IOSM.
We were
That's
like,
so
it is
nice.
really.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Thanks, guys.
Tyler, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
man.
it. Yeah, and thank you to our whole production team at Tiny
you
Legends,
guys,
the
and
best.
just like a little gratitude, I think we try to end with at the end of every episode. And like, I'm just so grateful for you, Mireille, for being my newest friend.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're like the newest friend in my life. It's very exciting for me.
Yeah, me too.
And I really care about you. I think you've become a really important person to me. And I really appreciate you coming here today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and we're so grateful, of course, to our audience.
Yeah.
I mean, without them, it's we just appreciate the support, and we appreciate spending time with everybody. And so we love you so much.
We love you so much.
We love you so much.